Okay, girls, this is exercise 6.5. We're continuing. We're going through homework problems, and then we're going to be looking at questions 7 to 10 in exercise 6.5, which is simultaneous equations with quadratics, which are actually easier than the normal ones. Exercise 6.5, question 4F. We're solving 9x equals bracket 6 plus x, 6 minus x. We notice on the right-hand side that this is a difference of two squares. So when we expand it, we get a squared minus b squared, or 6 squared minus x squared. We want to take everything over to the left-hand side because we need to make that x squared term positive. The coefficient of the x squared needs to be positive. So I'm going to take the x squared over, it becomes positive x squared. I'll keep the 9x here on the left, and I'll bring the 36 over, which will be what? Plus or minus 36. I'm taking everything to the left. What's the 36 going to become? Minus 36 equals 0. Now I need, see if we can factorise it. I need the factors of negative 36 that add up to plus 9. Now, think of the factors of 30. Very good. Do you want more pluses? So we've got negative 36. Yes, we've got 12 and 3. My answer needs to be plus 9. So I need more pluses than minuses. Plus 12 minus 3. So we've got x plus 12, x minus 3 equals 0. Therefore, x is negative 12 or 3. Very good. This is exercise 6.5, question 6c. The second question is 2x plus 1 on x equals 3 2/3. When you look at that, there are two things that aren't quite right. What's one of them? Yeah, good. But what about on the right-hand side? What can you do with that 3 2/3? Change it to an improper. Let's do that first. 2x, girls, because we really just want to see a numerator and a denominator, because so we've got 2x plus 1 on x equals 3 2/3 as an improper fraction, please. Yeah, 11 over 3. So now, girls, when we look at that, we really need to get rid of the denominator. Z. So if you times by 3, if you times both sides by 3, you'll get rid of the 3, but you need to times both sides by x as well to get rid of the x from the bottom. See how we've got 11 divided by 3. If you times both sides by 3, see, you've got a balanced equation, right? When you do something to one side, you must do the same to the other side. Okay? So, girls, I want to multiply both sides by 3 and by x. So by 3x, because you're getting rid of the divide by 3 and you want to get rid of the divide by x. So you can do it all in one step by multiplying both sides or multiplying everything. See, when you're multiplying both sides, so I'm going to multiply both sides. I'm going to go 3x times this side equals 3x times this side. Now you see what happens. Do you know why I'm putting the brackets on this side? So girls, I want to get rid of the divide. So what you do, you look at the lowest common denominator of the fractions, and it's 3x. To get rid of the divide by 3 and the divide by x, opposite of dividing by 3 and dividing by x is timesing by 3 and timesing by x. So timesing by 3 and timesing by x is timesing by 3 times x, which is 3x, all right? So watch what now. Let's do this. What's 3x times 2x? What do you get? 3x times 2x. Anyone? 6x squared. Now what's 3x times 1 on x? Isn't it 3x over x? And what's 3x times 11 on 3? What cancels, girls?
3.
The 3's, because that's over 1 really. Yeah, so girls, that's over 1. So that 3 and that 3 cancel. When you do cancelling, when you're multiplying fractions, you're doing 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 3 once. You're not left with zeros, you're left with ones when you cancel out with fractions, if it completely cancels. So you've got 11x up there. Now, what is this 3x over x really? What cancels there? So you're left with, so what are we left with? 6x squared plus 3 equals 11x. Now what do I do? Yes, move the 11x over and we've got 6x squared minus 11x plus 3 equals 0. Now, girls, this you could if you wanted, or you could try to factorise. I'm going to try quick factorise with 2x and 3x. I think I've got more chance of it working with that than with 6x and x. So factors of 3, girls, if I put the 3 there, I've already got 9 and 1 and 2. Can you see? 3x times 3. So I'm trying to get minus 11x. Look, this is a plus 3, so I need two numbers that multiply to give positive 3. But they're going to be adding up, but they're going to be times by these others to add up to a negative, so these both have to be negatives. See, if you've got a plus here, you either need two pluses in your cross or you need two minuses. You can tell by this term here. All right, the ones with the plus on the end plus the constant are the easiest type because you've either got to have two pluses or two minuses. Now, because there's a minus here, you've got to have two minuses. So I've got, see, 3 times 3 is 9 and 2 times 1 is 2, and that will give me that can give me 11. 9 and 2 can make 11. So I'm going to just, this is what I think it is, but I'm going to check it, okay? Now let's just double check. We've got 6x squared minus 2x minus 9x. That gives me minus 11x plus 3. So that's correct. So therefore 2x minus 3 is 0, or 3x minus 1 is 0, which means what? What's what? Make this a bit bigger. What have I got, girls? Come on. X is what? You take the 3 over and make it plus 3, and then you divide. Or x is you take the 1, or minus 1 over, becomes plus 1, then you divide by the 3. So x is 3 on 2, or x is a third. I'd like you all to practice another one, which is, can't seem to find it. Here's same question, question 6, but this is question 6F. So how would I solve this? What do I need to get rid of? Girls, we don't want equations with fractions. You need to get rid of the divide by x and the divide by 2. So what's the opposite? So you look at those. Lowest common denominator is 2x. So you multiply by 2 to what? 2x. You've got to get rid of the divide by 2 and the divide by x. So opposite of dividing by 2 and dividing by x is timesing by 2 and timesing by x. So you're timesing by 2x. Okay? So we're going to multiply by, sorry, this is too big now, multiply by 2x. Okay, so we're going to multiply the left-hand side and the right-hand side by 2x. Now, I'm just starting it like this. So notice I'm putting 2x times all of the left-hand side and 2x times the right-hand side. Okay, what do I do? So we're multiplying by 2x, multiplying through, or both sides. Do you know why we multiply both sides? Keep the equation balanced. X over 1. So when I multiply the 2x by the 3 over x, can you see what's going to cancel straight away? All right, what do you get? 6x over x, which is, so if I just write 6, are you okay, girls, or not? Because it's going to be the x from the top. Look, I'll start with 6x over x. What's the next one when you multiply the 2x by 7x on 2? Remember, the 2x is on the numerator. So 2x, yeah, it's minus 14x squared over 2. But girls, the reason I was multiplying through by 2x is that one of the x's will cancel and the 2 will cancel somewhere as well. The idea of doing it is to get rid of the denominators, and they will go once I cancel through. And what do I get here? Anyone? 8x. So girls, if you don't get cancelling here, then you've chosen the wrong thing to do. The x's go, and the 2 goes into 14 7 times. So I could have just cancelled the 2's here in the first place when I multiplied that by that. So I've got 6 minus 7x squared equals 8x. Now you're going to take everything to the left or to the right. You don't want negative x squareds. You never want negative x squareds when you're factorising. So take it all to the right. So I could take it to the right, but then leave it on the left. So by putting the equal 0 on the other side. So I want to take everything to the right and I get positive 7x squared. The plus 8x stays because it's going over that side. What about the 6? Minus 6. Now I don't have to put the equal 0 there on the left. I can put it there, it's fine. Once you've got an equation, you can turn it around, like swing it around, as opposed to jumping everything over the equal sign. Got the idea? Now, girls, I would try this way because the only two numbers that multiply to give 7x squared are 7x and x. So let's see, we need factors of 6. We can go, I wouldn't go 6 and 1, I don't think. I'd be going maybe 2 and 3 that's not going to work. That's going to go 14 and 3, that can't give you 8. 6 and 1's not going to work, and I think this needs a quadratic formula. Can anyone see the factorisation? Because I can't see it. 3 and 2 is not going to work, that's 21 and 2, no way. What about 6? 6 there's 42, 1 and 6, that's no good, that gives me 13. As long as we haven't made a mistake, and I don't think we have. I can't factorise it, let's go quadratic formula. Okay, all right, how do you solve it? X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So it's negative 8. Come on, plus or minus the square root of. What's b squared? What's b? Girls, a is 7, b is 8. Well, you tell me what b squared is.
You just said b is 8.
Yep, and what I know, but what's b squared? 64 minus 4 times, what do I write? 7 times negative 6 over 2 times 7. Sorry, one sec, girls. Which is, okay, let's go. X is negative 8 plus or minus the square root of. Is it going to be 64 plus or 64 minus? Anyway, you can just do it on your calc if you want. It's going to be plus because you've got minus 4 times 7 times negative 6. It's going to be 64 plus whatever 24 times 7 is. It's 196 minus 24. 172. 236. The answer. Can someone work that out? 8 plus or minus the square root of 232 over 14. You want to see which numbers go into 232, the square numbers. We're looking for 4, 9, 16, etc. 25's not, maybe 36. So we know 4 goes in for sure. 4 won't go in the second time. Does 9? I don't think so. No. Does 16? I doubt it. 36. Looks like 4 is the biggest. 232 won't divide by 49. Looks like 4. Okay, girls? So we've got negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 4 times 58. Are you okay with this, girls? Square root of 58. What's that? What goes into 58? 4 doesn't. 9 doesn't. 16 doesn't. 36 doesn't. So yeah, it looks like that's staying. So what do I write here? Negative 8 plus or minus what? Come on. Why did I do 4? 2 root 58 over 14. Now, what do I do? All right. We haven't cancelled one like this, but you know each of those is over 14. Or you can take out the 2. You know how they're all even? See how these are all even? The numbers out the front, not the square root of 58. You can divide the top and the bottom by 2, or you can take out 2 as a common factor. So you can go 2 is a common factor on the top. It's just that I'm worried. Look, I'd like you just to divide that, and that by 2. But yes, what you're really doing is, we'll do that in a sec. I'll come over here and do that. But what we're really doing is, look, I just go through and divide that, and that by 2. But I just don't want people not to divide one of them by 2. The idea is that you're dividing the numerator and the denominator by 2. The problem is you've got 2 things on the numerator that you need to divide by 2. Okay? So the other thing is to notice that they're all even. You can pull out 2 as a common factor from the numerator and say 2 goes into 14 7 times, and you're left with -4 plus or minus root 58 over 7. Now, I don't do it that way anymore. I do it.
Wait, you're not doing it that
Wait, yeah, I do. I do that, but the other way is to come across here and say all these whole number bits, not the third bits, are all even. So the other way is to come across here and go, that's even, that's even, that's even. Divide this by 2, because I'm dividing the numerator and the denominator by 2. Divide that by 2, I get -4. Divide this by 2, I lose the 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Divide that by 2 and I get 7. The only thing I'm worried about using this method is that you'll know you have to divide the top and the bottom by 2, the numerator and the denominator by 2, but make sure you divide both terms on the numerator by 2.
Miss, can I use a whiteout?
Yes. So, same answer. That's a lot quicker, but you only do this if you're really confident with all the techniques that you're using. Not, oh, I can't remember, will I do that one, that. Or if you want, your other option is to go and put each of these over 14, girls. This is the other option, ladies. Just keep it there. So girls, your other option is to say each of those is over 14, and then you can do your own cancelling with each of them individually. But the only problem there is that you may end up with different denominators. So here I'm saying 2 goes into that, 2 goes into that, 2 goes into that, 2 goes into that, just simplifying those. But then you'd have to rewrite it. Look, I think the best thing to do is this way, dividing just the numerator and the denominator by 2. But what you're really doing is factorising out a 2 and cancelling. That's what the process really is, if you're doing that. But it all gives the same answer, all right? It's up to you which way you use, just get it right. Okay, this is question 7K. Solve these simultaneous equations with quadratics. Girls, these often tend to be easier than the elimination method. You always do them by substitution, but they're the easiest type. You've got y equals 3x squared and y equals 10 minus x. So therefore, if y equals that and y equals that, then those two things must equal each other. So we just say sub 1 into 2. And look, even if you don't write that, that would be fine. So we've got 3x squared equals 10 minus x. Does it make sense why you would write that? Y equals that and y equals that. So therefore, these two are equal to each other. Now what do? Just take everything over to the left. Keep them on the left. 3x squared, is it going to be plus or minus x? Plus x. Is it going to be plus or minus 10?
Minus 10.
Equals 0. Let's try and do a factorisation here. We'll see. Factors of 10. 5 and 2. I wouldn't put the 5 here. That's going to give me 15. It's too big. You know what? Yeah. Let's go 2 and 5. This looks like it could work because that's 6x and that's 5x. They can combine to give me 1x. Where do I put the minus? I want more pluses because I want a balance of plus x, so I want more pluses than minuses. That will give me plus 6x minus 5x.
Minus 2.
Girls?
Yes.
Okay, girls, we've got 3x squared plus 6x minus 5x gives me plus x minus 10. So we've got 3x minus 5 equals 0. Or x plus 2 equals 0, which means that x is what?
5 on 3.
Yeah, 5 on 3, or x is minus 2. Now, girls, they're not hard, those ones. We're going to go to question 8. You keep writing and I'll write the question. Okay. Are we Now, before we start this question, let's look up here. Notice this x squared is double the power of this x. Do you notice that? 3x squared plus x minus 10. Whenever your highest term is double the power of the next term, see how x4 is double the power of the x squared? Then you can make the substitution of u equals x squared. So if u is x squared, x4 really is x2 squared because, sorry, I'll move up. Because with our index laws, x2, x squared squared, what do you do with the 2 and the 2? You?
Cancel.
Notice x4, the 4 is double the power of the x squared. So that can be written as x2 squared minus 17x squared plus 16. Notice we've got a squared of something and then just that normal thing. If we're letting u equal x squared, then this x squared is u, so it's u squared minus 17, what does that x squared equal? U plus 16 equals 0. So you'll be turning that into a quadratic, and it will happen because this is double the power of that. So they're all double what you want them to be. Does that make sense? Instead of this being x squared, it's x4, and instead of this being x, it's x squared. So you let u equal x squared, so x to the power of 4 can be really written as x squared squared, because that means x squared times x squared, which is x to the 4. Or the rule is am to the n, this is the index law, is amn. Okay, that's the index law that I'm using there. Am to the power of n is am times n. So now what do I do, girls? I factorise with this. Give me factors of 16. Yeah, it must be, yeah, if we've got a plus here, they've either got to be 2 pluses or 2 minuses. It's got to be 2 minuses. So it's going to be u minus 16, u minus 1. Therefore, u minus 16 is 0, or u minus 1 is 0, u is 16, or u is 1. Now, girls, we're solving for x, not for u. So now I put back what u is. So therefore, x squared is 16, or x squared is 1. What does x equal?
Square root 16.
Plus or minus the square root of 16, plus or minus the square root of 1. Reason is, remember we were doing square roots before? Whenever you do take square roots of both sides, you must do plus or minus of the other side. The reason is because positive 4 times positive 4 is 16, but also negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. If you miss out the plus or minus, then you lose a mark. What's the square root of 1? So the answer there is plus or minus 1 as well. So we've actually got, girls, I'm going to need an answer for x and for y. I'm going to, oh no, I'm not. Sorry, I'm not. I'm looking at another question. Sorry about that. So my solutions are x is -1, +1, -4, +4. Okay? But you can just leave them the way they are up there. I'll do one from question 9. Can we stop? Okay, girls, we're looking at question 9A. Similar question. So what do? We're trying to solve that. Notice the power here, x to the 4 is double that power. It's going to be a quadratic. So let u equal x squared. So what's this going to become? Remember, 3x to the 4 means 3x squared squared minus x squared minus 2 equals 0. That's what it really is. So what does the equation become? No one?
Yeah, 3
The
u something.
u squared
Yeah.
minus
U. Take or choose.
equals 0. I'm hoping we can go 3u and u. I think we might be able to. We put a 1 there and a 2 there. Will that give us... And which one would be the minus, I think, here? We'll try it out. 3u plus 2, u minus 1. We need to check. You always check it, girls. Always. I always check it. You always check it. I can't get to the screen. Okay, so we've got u, 3u plus 2 is 0, or u minus 1 is 0, which means that, yeah, so we've got 3u squared minus 3u plus 2u is minus u minus 2. So it works. So we've got, one sec, girls. Oh, there. The plus 2 comes over, becomes minus 2, then you divide by 3, or u is 1. But girls, what does u equal? So x squared is negative 2/3, or x squared is 1. Girls, can you multiply something by itself and get a negative answer? What? Even negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Girls, if I want to do x, I've got to do plus or minus the square root of a negative number. That's got no solution. You can't square root a negative. So that is no solution. And for this one over here, x is plus or minus the square root of 1. And so x is. So girls, if you've got something squared is a negative, you can write no solution straight away. Or you can write that x is plus or minus the square root of that. You try that on your calculator, square root of negative 2/3. You cannot square root a negative. It means something times itself will give you a negative number. That never happens because a negative times a negative is a positive, and a positive times a positive is a positive. It's not you never do a negative times a positive to get a square root. It's something times itself. Same thing has to give you what's under that square root sign that doesn't. So what have I got here? So x squared equals negative 2/3 has no solution, and the other one is x is plus or minus square root of 1, and what's that answer? Plus or minus 1. So your answer is x equals plus or minus 1. You must also show that that has no solution, otherwise you lose that mark. So you need to, this might be worth 3 or 4 marks, okay? And doing this will be a mark, getting up to this factorisation will be a mark, probably a mark there, mark showing that this is no solution as well, okay? Girls, it's a typical Year 11 question. 10A, solve by making a suitable substitution. So it's not x squared anymore. What do you think your substitution is going to be? Let u equal 2 to the power of x. So that 2 to the power of x is a u. What do I write? U squared minus 5 times, what's u to the x? 2 to the x. What do I write? U squared minus 5 times u plus 4 equals 0. Girls, this bit that we're doing here is called equations reducible to quadratics. So all those equations, because you've got something squared minus something, 5 times something, that same thing there, plus 4, that can be written as a quadratic if you make a suitable substitution. Okay? You can see that that 2 to the x is squared, and then you've got the minus 5 times 2 to the x. Girls.
U minus 4, U minus 1.
Yeah, girls. Plus 4. And a minus here, I need 2 negatives multiplied to give 4, but add up to give? Well, it's not going to be 2 and 2.
Minus 4 minus 1.
Yeah, 4 and 1.
It's always me.
U minus 4, u minus 1 equals 0. And let's check. U squared minus u minus 4u, that gives me minus 5u plus 4. So u minus 4 equals 0, or u minus 1 equals 0. What do I get? Yeah, but girls, the question is not to solve for u, it's to solve for x. So what does u equal?
2x.
So 2 to the power of x is 4, or 2 to the power of x is 1. 2 to the power of what? 2 to the power of 0 is 1. 2 to the power of 1 is 2. 2 to the power of 2 is? So you do this by just guessing the answer. It's just a power. X is going to be a whole number. So x is 2 because 2 squared is 4. What about here? 2 to the power of what is 1? 0. 2 to the power of 0 is 1. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. Okay, girls? 2 to the power of 1 is 2.
Root to the power of 1 would equal.
Girls, 2 to the power of 0 on your calculator. It's index laws that you learnt last year. 2 squared means 2 times 2. 2 to the power of 0. Girls, if 2 to the power of something is 1, girls, it's just a law you need to know. A to the 0 is 1. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. We learnt it in year 9. So 2 to the power of something is 1. That something has to be 0. X is 0. I'm just checking my answers. 2 to the power of 0 is 1. But my answers are X is 2 and X is 0.
Do we need to write that on the line?
No, I'm just showing you what it is. We're going to do the next question as well. 10
we've got 2 minutes.
doesn't matter. 10b.
Same results. No, we don't.
Too late now. Do you know what to do with the last one? All right. Homework. Exercise 6.5, question 7. Last column. All of it. Question 8, 9 and 10. I'll let you know. 7, last column. Shh. Question 8, last column. Actually, if you want with question 7, you don't have to do each one. Just do 7, B, F and J. Question 7, B, F, J. Question 8, you can do all of that last column because there's only 4 of them. And you need the practice. Question 9, you can do B and C. And question 10, B and C. So this is the homework. Shh. Ladies, question 7, last column, B, F, J. Question 8, last column, all of the last column. Question 9, B and C. Question 10, B and C.